paper magic will survive like the heat death of the universe, and will...
Oh, it's a smuggler's copter. Would you like to crew this? And then it crashes because they don't understand arithmetic.
All your cards belong to me.
2 minutes into macing him in the eyeballs, I switched to pepper spray. He's like, it's downright refreshing. And went back to the mace.
Magic is dying. I'm done. Selling everything.
I might be a hoarder. And yes,
I don't have the crayons or glue to explain this to you right now.
What, are you gonna die twice?
Oil will be worthless before magic cards will.
well, okay, Dr. Man.
That's Mr. Dr. Professor Jason.
And welcome in to the show, everybody. As you heard, Jason is excited to get going. He is ready to start the show.
Why
That's
would
why
they
he's
have
cracking
heard that? Why
beer.
wouldn't they just start it when you start talking?
Because it's so much better if we include just your excitement about the show. Welcome back, everybody, to Magic Finance's most hacked podcast, Brainstorm Brewery.
Last week, Jason should be glad that Corbin and I let that snake in the grass market manipulator onto our airwaves, our frequency waves.
Turns out I have all the audio recordings, the stuff that doesn't make it to after hours. So turns out they can't get rid of me. I got a job for life.
Yeah, well, last week, some listeners noted the podcast was not out early on Friday, and that also, oh, by the way, the website's broken. Yeah, it turns out we got hacksorted. We released an after hours talking shit on hackers and how we're unhackable, and we got hacked. Yep. I just want to know which one of you clicked the phishing email. That's all. I just want to know that. Nobody's going to admit to it.
Phishing
Corbin,
is boring.
I sent it, so why would I click it?
Exactly. Well, I'm Corbin. You heard Jason and DJ there. And the other voice you heard is our guest this week, Natalie. Welcome on to the show. So, Natalie is a fourth-year college student with degrees in mechanical engineering, worked on multiple Mars rovers software that's
very
been used...
clearly just reading something off camera.
I am reading
Could you
it because that
harness
is
some
an
professionalism?
impressive...
This is why your text coverage. This is why you've never been video
because I
coverage.
want to be accurate. Yeah, because I don't want to just talk. I want to make sure that I get it correct. Well,
then
Natalie...
you put it on your monitor and you read it off your monitor like a professional. Jesus. That's why they don't put teleprompters on the floor, bro. Get your dick right. This is live,
God.
man.
Natalie, welcome to the show. We're here.
This is what I deal with, Natalie. This
is what Jason has to deal with, of course.
Corbin has a face for radio and just the fingers for text coverage. We'll put it that way. Like
the fingers for text coverage. Is that a weird text coverage joke I don't get?
I guess my fingers are nimble.
Those are legit sausages, bro.
My fingers are nimble. I don't know, like
nimble.
Yeah, because you type a lot. I don't.
Yeah, that was where I was going.
I got a lot of fine motor control.
Do you?
I don't know.
JJ, just play the light. Just play the light pole. Just on repeat. The 7 frames of the dong of his shin shattering.
Yeah,
just on repeat a few times.
You have the fingers of a much heavier person.
I'm tall, man. I don't know. Like, I don't know what to tell you. I'm healthy and tall and athletic. This is what athletic people look like.
Now, please shoot me from the neck up.
This is what peak performance looks like. Is that it?
This is what the ideal male body looks like at 33 years old.
These fingers were nimble enough to steal the ball from Blake Griffin.
Oh?
Thank you. I'm glad that there was somebody else who didn't understand who that was before this meme came out.
No, she's just a Pistons fan talking shit.
Anyways,
like NASCAR?
What Natalie knows about better than any of us is some cool data work and how it applies to sort of the Magic world. It's going to be interesting. We'll get into that a little bit later. But yeah, I just apologies to anyone who had some trouble getting the cast last week. Our website, thanks to our brilliant, I don't even know what to call her, the person who takes care of everything for us on the website, the webmaster, perhaps. Anyways, she was able to fix it. We didn't even know what was wrong.
Spider-Man is the webmaster.
We didn't even know what was wrong, but she was able to fix it. So thank you for that. Now let's move on. Let's talk about Magic. Natalie, what is your role in Magic? How long have you been in the game, and what do you like to do?
Well, my primary thing in Magic is I like playing with numbers. And now most college students, they see numbers and they think, I am going to try and predict the stock market. Well, that's boring, and I don't want to have anything to do with that, because why would I waste my time and money on things that could actually earn me money? I can't play with the stock. Like, how am I going to cast my Tesla stock? So I turned to Magic because I happen to know a lot more about the Magic market than I do the stock market.
You have Tesla stock?
Oh, God, no, I won't touch that company, but that's just...
You literally said that you can't play your Tesla stock.
You got it.
Well, I'm sure in some of my funds I have Tesla stock somewhere, but... Okay, fine.
I don't like
don't
you
know.
walking back away from Times Magazine's Man of the Year. You should be like, yeah, I own lots of Tesla stock. I'm proud of it. But instead, you're equivocating, and that looks weak. Elon Musk would not like that.
Wow.
I don't like Elon Musk either.
Was it
Right.
weak when he told California not to develop high-speed rail and that we would replace it with a hyperloop that he never built? Was that weak? No, that was strong.
You're preaching to the choir here. I'm an engineer. I have thoughts on that guy, which I will save for a later time when I won't get,
Are you
Post
jealous
my
because you
bad
didn't
pepper.
invent the concept would have banks but on internet? And then
Do you want the crypto lecture?
invent the concept of an electric car? Those are things he came up with because he's an innovator.
Thank you,
Yes.
Jason. Thank you for singing the praises
Innovation.
of Elon of the algorithm here. We really do
I
appreciate
still
that.
have a PayPal account, so I can't say anything.
Yeah. But yeah, to sum things up, I enjoy doing cool stuff with data, whether it be collecting interesting data from places where I'm not supposed to, including famous websites that you might have heard of, such as TCG Player, EDH Rec. I believe there's a colossal amount of data that is not public or front end available, but if you do a little peeking around, you can find some sketchy stuff that I'm not sure is ready to be displayed to the public. But yeah, DJ was privy to me in a hotel room at about 10 p.m. trying to crack the new graph feature that TCG Player put out. And that was a lot of fun.
Allegedly.
Yeah, it wasn't that hard. It took me like 30 minutes after I wasn't tired as all hell. But yeah, and after that, a project of mine that I'm presently working on is taking, everyone's favorite buzzword, artificial intelligence, and applying that to Magic stuff. I believe there's a huge amount of data that just people aren't looking at, and if we apply some pretty cutting edge technology to it, I think there's some really interesting developments to be made, whether it's for your mom and pop game store or the big vendor. Speaking of big vendors, I've done work primarily for TOA. They're a wonderful company. I will shill them repeatedly. I love Michael. Michael, if you're listening to this, hire me, please. It was a pleasure to work with you. But yeah, relatively new to the scene, but I'm hoping to, bring some interesting stuff if I can.
Yeah, I mean we've talked a lot on the show about how the data first approach to Magic is, I mean, one, the analytical approach is sort of taken over everything, right? You look at the way professional sports have just undergone sort of a sea change over the last decade or so as a result of this. And the pandemic has especially forced people to sort of innovate the way that they're handling the back end of their Magic business, and it's made things move the industry forward. And it just sounds like more of this is going to be, crunching numbers and that all that sort of stuff that you're talking about is going to lead to the way that things get done in the future. And
Most of the Magic
market.
cards you've ordered online in the past 2 years have been touched by a sorting machine.
Oh,
Yep.
would not be surprised. That's actually my senior project. An AI-driven sorting machine to integrate with things like TCG Player, Card Kingdom to pull prices. I'm very excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, DJ, do you want to elaborate a little bit for people what you're talking about if they're not familiar?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, sorting machines have always been, for the past, 10 years, this sort of mythical unicorn in Magic where it's I've got this hot new thing. It's going to automatically sort all the Magic cards and change the game forever. And, that's been a sort of advertised thing for a while now. And they haven't really actually been successful at making a decent one until the past like 2, maybe 3 years. The big one that's out right now is called the Roca. It is $25,000 if you want to own one. And like it's actually very good at sorting Magic cards, and like you put a bunch of cards into it and then you have an employee connect it to the internet and operate it and shove cards into it and just keep it running. And like big stores use those nowadays to efficiently process bulk. Like you can have it scanned and set prices. You can be like, pull out any card that's worth over a quarter, like set, sort, alphabetize. They can do all this stuff.
Yeah, it's I've had, as people long time listeners to this cast know, just I had a million Magic cards or whatever just in 5 rows, just eating up my office and my garage and my car and all this stuff. And I kept looking into options like a sorting machine, and I'm not dropping $25,000 to own one or whatever, but
Corbin
it is we've watched, and there are other there's other options, etc. But yeah, the market it's come a long way in that field is over the last couple of years, as DJ's talked about.
I didn't know you put those in your office intending to sort them. I thought they were just like intended to be compost when your office eventually flooded.
Well, look, if they go to the environment, good for the environment. If they go to Card Kingdom, good for Card Kingdom. In the end, fate decides it all.
That's definitely correct.
It's dad energy is what I've been told. It's just kind of, whatever happens, happens. Fine. They'll be fine.
We done here?
Sounds like it. All right, everyone shows up for a good talk.
That's what happens when Corbin drives the bus. Drives it right through a person's baby carriage, not knowing it's full of cans. Like in the movie Speed.
Isn't that a drug, not a movie?
It can be both.
Wait till you find out the dictionary has 7 different definitions for the word speed. It's gonna blow your fucking mind, like a bus that didn't go 60 miles an hour.
I thought it was 69 miles.
Nice.
Why would you think that, Corbin?
Thought that made more.
You think city buses are out here going 70 miles an hour?
Oh, they're going only 60.
A city bus.
Why would we have city buses that only go 70 miles an hour when Elon Musk's Hyperloop can clearly go double that?
How would you like to be in a tube where you can't open your car door to get out in the event of a fire?
What
you
if
could
cars
burn to death way faster than you would on the highway?
What if cars, but underground, Jason?
Hold on. The tube could maybe be an air cannon, so maybe you'd get to your destination faster if you set the tube on fire.
An air cannon?
Yeah. You never had a spud gun?
A car weighs significantly more than a spud?
A tube is also much bigger than a spud gun.
Wait a minute.
Look, I'm the engineer here.
A spud is a potato.
All right, Corbin's back on square one there, so...
Boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew.
At some point, I just decided to stop talking to see what happened. And DJ was along for the ride with me, and then you were the one who chickened out, Chase.
I just thought we were done podcasting. We could go play that now.
Breaking bolt time. Breaking bolt time. Break.
Oh, yeah, Breaking Bulk. There's so much good stuff.
It's a pick. Breaking bulk. The end.
I have a rare from Ice Age, and it's green.
Get the f*** out of here.
What do you mean? I have a green rare from Ice Age, and you have to guess it, and the TCG market price is roughly $1.
Hey.
This is a thing that does not seem rare.
I know what to say.
It's Ice Age. Every card has either 9 lines of text on it or 0.
Is it obvious?
No.
Can I answer now?
Yes.
I have no idea what rares are in that set.
Good job, Corbin.
Is it Lurgoyf.
No.
Morrow
It is an enchantment.
tree.
So $1 green
Is it
enchantment.
a world enchantment?
It is
And it's
not a
rare?
world enchantment. It is a rare. This set came out before either Nat or I were born, so
Wild growth.
no.
Because there are some like $4 rare green enchantments.
This card is quite bad, but it's still $1.
Everything in Ice Age is bad.
That's also true.
Where's it $1?
TCG player. I have them listed for 99 cents right now.
I hate
Jason's
this because
arguing.
I know
He's arguing with your pick. He doesn't even know what your pick is.
because like I know Ritual of Subdual
I don't
and
either.
stuff like that are like $5,
Not
but
a
and then there's
rare.
stuff that's like a
That is
quarter,
rare.
but I can't think of anything that's $1. This sucks.
TCG median is $1.70.
So is it Ritual of Subdual?
Because
No.
I have the data.
Would Nat? Would you like to spoil it for me?
No, I want to watch these guys squirm more.
Is it Freelisa's Wind?
No.
This sucks. I don't
Is
know.
it?
Wait, let Corbin name his Shards of Alara Blue Common. Let him get that one out first.
That's not what I was going to say.
Okay. If you get it right, I don't know. I'll do something. I'll do something wacky and wild.
Wait,
Just-
is it an enchantment or
It's an enchantment.
or- Is it an aura?
No. Corbin, you said you.
Too late now.
All right, go for it.
I give up. If it's not an aura, then I don't know.
All right, go for it, Nat.
Oh no, I'm having second thoughts now.
Is it Blizzard?
No,
Jesus.
it's
Is it-
Fintorn Pollen.
Yep. Oh, damn it! I should trust my gut.
How many Ice Age green and rare enchantments was I able to name, and I still got it wrong? This is bullshit.
Fintorn Pollen is a 3-mana
Finhorn
enchantment.
Pollen is in Fallen Empires, you idiot.
No, it's
It's-
not. Master's Edition 2 in Ice Age.
It has cumulative upkeep, which was definitely an Ice Age mechanic.
Finhorn Pollen.
And it says all creatures get -1/-0, and then you can pay 1 and a green to
Well, that's
also.
a misprint. There's a snowflake on this
Oh
Fallen
my
Empires card.
God.
You can continue to give creatures -1/-0 by paying 1 and a green. It's very bad, but it is technically worth money. I don't know if it's on the reserve list. It probably is. No?
Why
Okay.
would they put
Oh, it
Finhorn
is.
Pollen on the reserved list?
It is. Never mind.
Okay. It's on the reserve list. There you go. But you wouldn't know it by looking at it because you can't tell if it's a rare because Balduvian Shaman has more words on it than this card, and that card's a common. Is
It's
it?
got that sick folio art.
There you go. It's got art by Phil Folio. So Fintorn Pollen, pick 'em. Wait for some incredibly intelligent person to buy them out, just like Catacomb Dragon, and then you sell them for $5
Hey,
a
they
piece.
made money on Catacomb Dragon.
You sell them for $5 a piece to the Greater Fool. You copy and paste a pixelated monkey onto the art. They'll go wild for it.
I bet I get you guys this week.
You might.
A black Mirrodin besieged common.
Virulent Wound.
No.
Phyresis.
Guess again.
Is it Phyresis?
I'm not saying that it is or isn't Phyresis. I'm saying guess again. Yeah, Phyresis. It gives an enchanted creature infect. That's it. That's the tweet. And turns out, giving a creature infect is good because then you don't have to deal them quite so much damage with it.
Phyresis nuts. Got him.
What?
Ow.
So got him.
Unreal.
EJ, stop trying to
I'm
be hip
embarrassed
because I'm
for-
young and I'll call you on it.
For both of us.
But mostly for deep.
How old are you?
I'm turning 22 next month.
All right.
I don't know about you.
Pause.
You don't?
And you also don't know about a lot of other stuff, so...
The Taylor Swift song. Never mind, you guys.
What
you guys-
the?
Come on. Come on. Come on.
He's mad
Anyways.
that a 21-year-old girl didn't get a reference to a Taylor Swift song, and you know what? I'm with him. You dropped the
No,
ball.
I just chose not to acknowledge it.
Gosh, all right. I've got a black uncommon from Midnight Hunt.
I don't know what's in that set
Is
I
it-
know.
because
the
it isn't
murder?
out yet.
Is it the murder that you lose to?
Infernal
It's-
Grasp? No.
Yeah. Was that card from Midnight Hunt, or did I pull a Corbin?
That card's from Midnight Hunt.
Okay.
And it's not Infernal Grasp.
Nope.
What the?
Is it an enchantment?
They
Nope.
usually are when they're from newer stats.
Nope. It's a creature.
A creature? What? What is it played in?
Magic the Gathering?
Get the.
Minus
not
1
an
point for
EDH
Corbin.
Is it Morbid Opportunist?
It is Morbid Opportunist. You guys didn't know this one? This card's $2.
This set isn't even out yet.
Midnight Hunt.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, no, this card is over $1. Morbid Opportunist is a 3-mana 1/3. Whenever one or more other creatures die, draw a card. It triggers once each turn. It's
That's
the-
a fine Magic the Gathering card. I like
It is.
I need to get one of these for Sig.
And Kratz. Does this go in Gonti? Like, if I play a draft deck unsleeved, can I mail this to you, DJ?
You got to do more than that to that deck.
I was gonna
I'll
say, just
that.
playing it unsleeved is just would make it like NP. It's gotta, you gotta like leave it outside.
It's gotta
in the
see
snow
some
and accident.
shit.
Yeah.
I am someone who enjoys taking bites out of Magic cards. If I
Don't-
sterilize it after...
No, don't destroy them for DJ's sake.
Yeah, that
Okay.
doesn't count.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like the number of people who ask me that is like that's the it didn't scan, so it's free for like number of times I've heard that bit of like somebody's like,
DJ's
oh,
really upset that people want to just interact with him and talk
I-
about his deck. He's like, ugh, you're not talking about my deck right. Ugh, how dare you ask me a question somebody's already asked me? This is bullshit.
you know, Jason, fair criticism, fair point. I have no
you wanna,
defense.
you
to
want
that.
to talk to me about a thing I tweeted? Ugh.
I have.
All right. Let's
They were one of today's 10,000, and I can't. Corbin doesn't know what that means. Nat probably doesn't know what that means.
I do know what that
You
means.
veteran. I'm an engineer. Of course I know what that means.
Yeah, but it was like older than you, so
It's not.
It's like it was at
Even
least.
if it were, XKCD is like the engineer's handbook, practically.
Oh.
How do you think we justify shitting on everyone else?
it's fair.
I bet that guy's problematic.
Checks out. All right. Well.
He just hasn't gotten milkshake ducked yet.
He's got a torso in his crawl space for sure.
Okay, do you know what milkshake ducking is?
No.
Okay.
Do I want to know?
No, it's everything on the internet is like one day it's like, oh, America has fallen in love with this adorable duck who drinks milkshakes, and then the next day you find out milkshake duck is racist. It's Ken Boning basically.
It's just yeah.
Sure.
You just haven't found that your favorite tweeter is a horrible person yet.
Not yet.
So,
sadly,
what's weird?
that-
Do any of you have dirt on DJ for me? While we're talking about finding out that your favorite tweeter is Bull?
DJ's your favorite tweeter?
Oh, don't say that.
Well, I mean, if I'm gonna find an excuse to cancel DJ, I mean that's another buying seat at TOA that I get.
Ooh.
That's
Nothing personally, DJ, but you're my
no.
competition.
It's okay. It's okay.
Planned out right there. There you go.
You're going after the weakest link. I like it.
Like, there's no way I'm killing some of the other people, and there's no way I'm killing DJ for that matter, because DJ will just, I don't know, like backflip over me or something.
Yeah, he's a little spider monkey. He's a little spider monkey for sure.
Oh,
Anyways, moving on. We want to give a shout out to our sponsor, mtgstocks.com, which of course makes all of our picks of the week and breaking bulks possible with their incredible tracking tools for prices. You can sort by basically any metric you want. You can look at sealed product, you can look at cards that are moving, and you can look at signing up for premium, which brings price alerts, trends, underpriced cards, inventory alerts. It has got a lot of value there. So check out MTG Stocks Premium. We want to thank them as always for sponsoring this podcast, allowing us to make it for you. So
they're also partnered with StreamSage.
That's right. And yep.
I did a bit of beta testing for that website and program, product, whatever you want to call it. And it has a lot of potential as a buy list aggregator and or data scraping tool. So I will leave it at that. If you are interested in hearing more about my thoughts on that, I will do a brain bite on that eventually.
Yep, lots in the works. That's what we wanted to have Natalie on tonight to talk about the just some of these changes in the back end of data and what it can do. So Natalie, talk a little more. You mentioned AI earlier. How does that interact with with Magic at all? Like, what is the way you use that to make things better in the market?
So, well, the thing that AI is really, really good at, it's finding patterns that humans just aren't good at seeing in huge amounts of data. So, like right now, in conjunction with one of my very good friends, Wolf of 10th Street, I believe he's that on Twitter. Love the guy. He does some great work with the Magic data. We're looking at historical data from multiple vendors. We're looking at TCG Plan. We're looking at Card Kingdom. We're looking at Card Kingdom buy list. We're looking at supply data. So how many vendors there are, what the distribution of copies per vendor is. I was actually looking at a really interesting histogram for Urza's Saga, where
the card, not the set.
Yeah, the card. Where everyone was in like the less than 8 copies of the card, I believe, maybe up to 10, and then there was one outlier, and there are good friends at the gaming company, and looking at patterns like that to see how does this influence how a card will pop is really hard for a human to do. But when I can toss it onto my trusty computer to, look for those patterns and see how, this card demand, it's gone up 50% in the last week. Can we expect a price correction based off of how much supply is in there? That's what I'm hoping to identify with Magic, with AI being applied to Magic. It's finding those patterns that things like, no offense to MTG stocks, but they're slow. They only tell me what's happening now. I want to find out what's going to happen in 2 weeks. And that's what I'm trying to do. It's seeing how can we use what's going on now to predict what's going to happen 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks from now. So looking at supply, looking at price, looking at how many quantities are being sold versus being added to the market. It's all a really interesting data set that I think there's a lot of depth that's left to be explored.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I do think that the premium that MTG Stocks offers is tinkering with that as well.
Right. That's the future of all of this, right? Is the data that has been generated by, something like MTG Stocks. Well, really, if you go back, the first price aggregator that I was aware of was this old website called the Black Lotus Project. I'm not even sure who ran it. It aggregated old eBay prices on sold listings. And that was sort of where we started with it. And then MTG Stocks came along and is, just continued to push the boundaries and keep the most data. And now we're seeing that data being used. Natalie's working on it. StreamSage is working in the space. MTG Stocks Premium has underpriced cards as part of their offerings as well. This is you've got us, and you've got the fact that we're sort of the boomers who've we're the old baseball scouts getting replaced in Moneyball here, but that we evolve with the times and we keep our jobs. So look at it that way. But I think that's a good analogy when it comes to looking at just the way the And not just us sort of on the trend of looking at the MTG finance market from this perspective, but also like DJ is talking about on the back end of card sorting and way buy lists are calculated and things like that. There's just a lot to be done there.
To add some context to what Nat mentioned earlier with the gaming company, if you're somebody who buys cards on TCG Player, you've probably seen this store. If you purchase like standard stuff or more recent products like Commander Legends, things like that, you'll see like, oh, such and such, these 10 different stores have like between 1 and 7 copies, and then the gaming company has like 600. Be like, oh, cool, I want to buy some Essica's Chariots, and then they'll have 900 copies or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The gaming
company is the wall, basically. If you hear about the wall that a card's got to get over before it can pop, that's the wall.
For context, they are effectively like the Walmart of card warehouse sellers, where they are mostly running their entire operation through TCG Player sort your product programs, I believe, just because of the huge quantity they're dealing with. But like they just get to decide what that number is, and that's just the number that card has to, the number of quantities that card has to sell in order to move. So like, if they have Essica's Chariot listed at $1.89 or whatever, you don't get to list yours for $1.90 until they choose otherwise, because they have 900 copies that have to move.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Before they came around, I was doing analysis on the price distribution of cards. For example, examining a histogram of, I want to see how many copies are priced at whatever prices. Seeing, do we have like a nice bell curve, or do we have something heavily skewed towards the low? Because I think that's a very good indicator of how likely a card is to, pop. You wake up and suddenly it's quintupled in price. Well, not really. If you've been keeping track, you've seen that those low-cost copies have just evaporated, and we're just left with a high price, but there were just no low-cost copies to begin with. And I think the gaming company has just ruined that kind of analysis for the large part, unless we're looking at cards with huge amounts of churn, which I actually will be talking about later with my pick of the week.
Well, there's that, and the fact that like the gaming company mostly focuses, like I said, on like recently printed stuff, because they have the ability to crack it and like sort it en masse with those robots. So like that stuff doesn't happen when like what's it called, Hunted Phantasm spikes, because they don't have 900,000 copies of that card in backstock. They have the Essica's Chariots. They have the whatever the new Olivia is called, Olivia Bride or whatever. Like they have hundreds of these newer cards and Commander Legends cards when they're printed in booster packs, but they don't have Hunted Horrors and things like that.
Yeah, what's interesting there, you bring it up, is when I was running my LGS, I hated when new sets came out and we had to bust packs. Everyone thinks that must just be the most enjoyable part of Magic Finance or running a store. You just get open packs all day long. Dude, people would say that all the time.
Yep.
About how awesome it would be to just open packs. And I'm like, no, it's terrible. It's like a 3-hour process to crack some number of cases with a few employees. Like, it's horrible. It's not fun.
You didn't just like think to get those people to work for you for free?
That's
you get the pizza. It's not free.
Yeah.
Well,
Pizza party. End of the year
typically just had our employees do it, but that is that I'm sure there were options to do it that way. But anyways, opening packs is only fun for so long. Which is sad
Project
to say.
Booster fun, Corbin.
Which is sad
What
to
about
say,
set boosters? Don't you like having 9 different sets in your booster pack? Isn't that fun?
I just like to draft. Give me a good draft set in a draft box, which, as I understand it, is harder to get these days.
No more draft
you guys
boxes.
Still play?
No,
I thought these were just SKUs.
I used to play, and then DJ stopped scheduling EDH pods on Wednesday.
DJ holds Jason's Magic career in his hands.
I mean, doesn't he? I'm not going to play at the LGS, and COVID is like reason number 9 on that list.
Yeah, fair.
If I get replaced as a buyer, I will I will be your manager, your EDH gaming manager.
You're supposed to be that already.
That's not true. That's a volunteer gig.
Get the intern to do it.
I agree with that.
Can our listeners do anything with that? Do you have any
Not
advice?
presently. Mostly because I am learning what I do on the fly. I am entirely self-taught. My degree is in mechanical engineering, not artificial intelligence, not computer science, not, I don't know, statistics, economics. I am flying by the seat of my pants, if I'm going to be honest.
Corbin's degree is in journalism.
That's a real field? I thought we just had AI to do that nowadays. Yeah.
Yeah, a
Right.
journalist is a person who writes about science, never having taken a single science class. That's what a journalist is.
Oh, is you guys ruining our field? Now I have to get asked to fix the family computer. But yeah, honestly, if you want to get into this, learn a nice programming language. I personally use Python. If you're ancient, like some people I know, use R. I wouldn't recommend it. You can join the dozens of people who use R. But yeah, learn a nice programming language and just pick something that you're interested in and delve into it. For me, I started scraping TCG Player and Card Kingdom because I wanted to figure out how to get cards for cheap because I am a broke college student. And look at me now. I am still scraping TCG Player and Card Kingdom, except now I'm finding the cards that are cheap now and won't be later. So
You're a
Yeah.
broke college graduate. Look at you.
not yet. Next May.
That's when you'll be broke.
But that's will be a college graduate. I'll still be broke though.
So I mean, Jason works a lot with front-facing EDH data. How does that work with EDH, Rick? You mentioned TCG Player and Card Kingdom.
So EDH Rec is really interesting to me because it's entirely play driven, which play is, by the way, 100% one of the best metrics. Don't believe the charlatans who say, oh, yeah, buy this card because people are buying it. Well, that's just, you've got an Ouroboros of snake eating itself. Play is going to be 100% the best indicator. However, the problem with EDH Rec, as I see it, you look on the top cards of EDH Rec, and what do you see? You see your things like Soul Ring, you see your Signets. Now, the problem with those, everyone has their Soul Rings, everyone has their Signets. And if I know anything about EDH players, they're either cheap as all hell, or they are going to throw the cash anywhere they please to get their decks. Which leads to this really interesting solution where EDH Rec data is the cards that people already own that they're adding to their commander decks. At least in my opinion. I've done a little bit of research, and I admit this is a field that I should look into more, where EDH Rec is just not as strong of a cards indicator to, pop. Because, yeah, everyone wants a Soul Ring, but also the supply of Soul Rings is huge at this point, which fundamentally doesn't really help us. The same thing goes with Signets and the like. So, what I think is a really interesting metric for EDH Rec data is to look at how EDH Rec data changes over time. Look what people are suddenly including into their decks and see how that might change the price of a card. I'm by no means an expert in the field, and this is purely a hypothesis, but to me, that is what I have seen decent results, at least anecdotally speaking. At some point, I should do a deep dive into this, but that's what it takes to make EDH data relevant, at least in this business.
That's a good pitch. I think that basically sums up Jason's approach.
How's that a
week.
pitch? How's the opposite of my article series? No one looks at top cards isn't used for a reason because it's I don't know. I don't have time to get into exactly what I write about for free every week on mtgprice.com and cool stuff I guess too. But yeah, if you want to check out my articles on MTG Price, They are free to read after 48 hours, and every week I use EDH rec data to make predictions so good people accuse me of buying my own specs.
Well, really, what Jason does is Jason is using the EDH rec data and then applying that filter himself, right? And turning that into content because he's good at that. So yeah, that's.
Well, I mean, like if we take the Hunted Phantasm example, like that's a card that saw basically no play on EDH rec, but then it saw a lot of play on EDH rec after Toxtrol came out. So like that's the shift. It's not necessarily that like that you can't use EDH rec to predict specs. It's that you can't use.
You have to know how to use EDH.
Yeah, exactly. It's that like that you shouldn't just go to the front page and see Cultivate and then buy a bunch. Like you should still sell Cultivates because that's a great card to sell because that's like one of the best cards to sell if you're looking to make money on Magic because Cultivate gets added to every order because there are still players that want them. But like it's the understanding the back supply of each individual card compared to something like a Ravnica City of Guilds rare that has basically 0 printings and no other previous commanders to support it prior.
And that's why the boomers like us still have a place.
And it's a delicate game, too, because you have to balance that sudden spike in play with, oh, well, is this sudden spike in play just going to get absorbed by a wall of that's 900 copies high from gaming company? Or is this sudden spike actually actionable? And that's kind of what my AI is hoping to do. It's trying to synthesize all these different market factors and find the, find the commonality between cards that we see spiking. And is there going to be a guaranteed commonality? Probably not. But it's really interesting to see the various levers that you can flip to cause a card to go up in price and how we can anticipate that.
Yeah. Good stuff. All right. Well, let's move on then before we get out of here. We'll give you the honors, Natalie, of leading off Pick of the Week.
Pick of the week, pick of the week, pick of the week. Time for the pick of the week.
Okay, so I know I mentioned it earlier in the cast, but my pick of the week this week, and I hope this hasn't been brought up before, is Urza Saga. Because
you can't just pick a whole set. Okay? DJ does this all the time. You can't just pick an entire set and have that be your pick of the week. That's bullshit.
Okay, fine. How about Time Spiral? Is that okay? Can I pick that one?
It's a reserved list set. It's a whole set that's on the reserved list.
We did it. We did a bit.
Prophecy.
Morning Tide.
Terrible. But yeah, the card Urza Saga. To me, I don't see this as being an explosive spec. You are not going to wake up tomorrow morning and find that your Urza Sagas that you bought at, I don't know, 30 apiece have quintupled. But I think that this is the kind of card that you buy now, and then in 6 months, you are going to be very happy with it. I have the data here right now. In the last month, we have seen an average of 50 orders with Urza Saga every single day. 50 orders are buying Urza Saga. And the thing is, it's mostly all natural. I mean, yeah, there's the anomaly of someone who, for some ungodly reason, bought 23 in one swoop, either yesterday or the day before yesterday. But these are all player-driven. I'd also like to compare this demand number because I throw 50 at you and you say, oh, well, how much actually is that? Well, a card that's getting brought up a lot recently is Den of the Bugbear, the Manland from AFR. It's seeing modern play. It's a casual favorite. It's got really cool art. That card is moving 6.5 copies a day. So we're seeing almost an order of magnitude more orders containing Urza Saga than we are for another very popular card. So I think that as soon as this goes out of print, and if demand keeps on going like this, it is going to be hard to lose money with Urza Saga if you buy around now.
So my one thought on this card, as somebody who again does not play much Magic, but just reads Magic Twitter, is what is the likelihood that this card is still legal in a year and a half?
It's a thing to be concerned about.
How good do you think Magic Twitter is at playing Magic? To
I
me,
have no
I think
idea.
they're not very good.
But it doesn't matter how good they are, right? Like, it doesn't matter, like, if the card is overpowered, if it creates unfun play patterns, that's still a ban reason. Like,
I personally think, and I admit I am fully biased because Urza Saga is quite literally my favorite card to play right now. I think Urza Saga is, yes, it's a strong card. Do I think it's ban-worthy? No, I would personally like to see Luris go first.
that's funny, because that's kind of my pick of the week. Luris.
Well,
Define
Yeet all
kind
of
of.
Luris.
I've
Eat
got the
all
data
of these
to back
cards
it up.
from the sun, TBH.
Whose
Get
pick
all
of the
of them
week
out
is
of the
better here?
format.
That's fine.
Luris
But
is
yeah,
DJ's pick of the week because his pick of the week is every card in Ikoria.
but yes,
DJ, what is your pick of the week?
I was picking Luris just based on the fact that it is very close to bottoming out, if not having it already. I do not have the numbers that Nat has here in terms of quantity sold. This is another card that I think could be banned in certain formats. It is certainly warped entire metagames and perspectives, and is one of the only cards to be actually banned in Vintage for whatever that's worth. It does let you replay a Black Lotus, but the silly little cat is down to like $6.
Yep.
So
And-
funny enough,
Okay.
Luris's market price
Yep.
barely shifted at all. Quantity is pretty constant at around 10 to 20 orders a day.
Because
Get
who
your
can play
outliers on sale.
paper
Yeah.
competitive right now? Like, EDH is the paper format right now.
Yep.
Because the only people who are playing on webcam. So if we actually had tournaments, I think Luris would be a lot more expensive because people would need that. Even though it's one copy, they would need it to play, these events like Modern where Luris is good.
Well, and that makes
And
sense,
they're not
DJ, for
doing
your
that.
pick, right? If we go back to paper events next year.
Yeah. So you're probably right. Luris has bottomed out a decent bit.
Like bannings aside, I am not a format expert in these areas, but like it's just a card I think could very well creep back up.
Yep. With you. All right, I'll jump in. I'm going to go with an enchantment this week. Sterling Grove from Modern Horizons 2. It is $2, which just seems very cheap for a card that is competitively played and very good in EDH and basically a staple of any enchantment deck. The Invasion copy was at one point $20. It's cratered down to $3, but you can get a Modern Horizons 2 version for all of $2. I just think that that's an extremely cheap price for this card. Just very powerful.
For what it's worth, Idyllic Tutor crept back from like 2 to 5 over the past.
Ignoble
long.
Hierarch is $5, so I think maybe Modern Horizons 2 is just one of those sets.
It could be for sure.
But I love Ignoble Hierarch at $5.
But for instance, like Goblin Charbelcher is a card that also had sort of like a competitive history, and it was near bulk after it got
EMA.
reprinted. Yeah, and look at it now; it's like on its way to $5 or whatever, right? An Idyllic Tutor, which was in Theros Beyond Death, is now $5. Like,
Yeah.
I'd rather just have the Sterling Groves at $1.79 market price than not.
Adding to this discussion, Sterling Grove has excellent churn. We're looking at about 25 copies every day, or 25 orders every day. And I admit that this is a bit skewed because I am including the recent promotions from TCG Player. But
Oh,
there
like
is
the Black
some very,
Fridays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
where we're looking at Black Friday, 123 orders had Sterling Grove. But yeah, there is some very good churn, and it looks very natural. We're looking at a lot of, by very natural I mean speculators aren't buying bricks of these.
Right.
From what I'm seeing, it's looking very clean, which to me
Well,
is
that's the value of like number of orders that have the card, right? Because if there's one person buying 78, that's still one order that had the card, right? Am I understanding that right?
That is
Yeah.
correct.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's a more broad scale approach of like what we've been saying on this podcast for a long time is like a more, I guess, heavy like data supported thing rather than anecdotal, because like I've had people be like, oh yeah, spawn size of Ulamog only went up because you talked about it, you probably sold them to like speculators and all that, and it's like, well, I have 26 TCG orders and they're all for one copy of Spawn Siren Ulamog, and sometimes they have like an Ancient Tomb, or sometimes they have like a Warping Whale in them or whatever, so it's like it's all just large numbers of orders that are just small in dollar value.
That are just clearly legit.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Jason, you want to
I don't know
finish
how
off?
thin your skin would need to be if someone criticizes you and like implies that you're up to something shady to come on your podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
And be so thin skinned you have to, when they can't even defend themselves. I think that's I don't know, DJ, that's pretty toxic.
I try not to use the downvote button too much in real life, I'll put it that way.
Speaking of toxic, my pick of the week has nothing to do with my breaking bulk, which was Phyresis. In a lot of ways, this is the opposite of Phyresis. Sword of Hearth and Home is still not $10, despite being a mythic. Now, are people buying lots and lots of Modern Horizons 2? Apparently, because Sterling Grove is under $2.
Yeah.
And Ignoble Hierarch, one of the top cards in, Modern and EDH from Modern Horizons 2 is Ignoble Hierarch, and that is under $5 right now. So, Sword of Hearth and Home being twice that seems okay for now, but it's played in over 10,000 decks already. And as much as I think that's a lazy metric, if you go to the sets page, go to EDH Rec, go to all sets, go to Modern Horizons 2, and then you can look at, by percentage, what's played the most. Sword of Hearth and Home is played more than Academy Manufactor. It's played more than Resurgent Belief and, Junkwinder, stuff like that. So, it's played quite a bit, and it's under $10 as a mythic sword that has two really good abilities.
Yeah.
It's another one of those Sinew and Steel where you're like, why is this still so cheap? And it turns out it just takes a minute to get there, but it does. So
where does
I like what huh?
No, you're good. Finish your sentence.
No, man, I was just gonna filibuster so we can get out of here.
Well, I was gonna ask, like, where does Hearth and Home compare in the Matrix data stream of numbers?
Glad that you asked. Sword of Hearth and Home is sitting at around 20 orders per day, looking pretty organic. You haven't seen a sudden price fluctuations in the average prices, which is, a good indicator of organicness, because it tends to be that bricks are higher priced than regular.
Yeah, because if you're a store that has that many copies, you can choose to list them at a higher price. I do that with basic lands a lot. I'll set sort basic lands from older sets, and then I'll list them on TCG at a higher price per quantity, because nobody wants to order one basic land from a bunch of different sellers for 8 cents and 90 cents shipping. I'll put 75 Tempest basics up there, put them at $1 each, and it's like, well, I'm the only one that has 30, so if you want them, pay me.
Yep. So yeah, good churn. The market and the average price are pretty clean, so organic demand. Yeah, I sign off on Hearth and Home.
Is this TCG Player or Card Kingdom 2?
This is TCG Player sales data. I don't have access to Card Kingdom sales data, as far as I'm aware. I am using the basic version, non-foil.
Right, and this is just like quantity disappearing each day, right? So it's
this is number of orders.
Okay.
Yeah, because quantity takes a little longer for me to pull up.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, I nailed it.
It is nice that
buy them all out now.
there you go. $10,000 later, Jason, you'll be right. Well, there you go, everybody. Welcome. I'm sorry. Thank you to Natalie.
Corbin?
Is
this part 2 of the podcast?
I was caught in between.
Welcome back to part 2. Are we in
I wasn't recording, so that was our...
Welcome to the outro of the podcast. I was caught in between saying two different things.
We
and
need
sometimes
a word like welcome that means the opposite of welcome.
Hmm.
Like Bad go. Bad go to the outro.
Thank you, Natalie, for coming on the show. Anybody wants to find Natalie across the internet, it's at Nat20MTG on Twitter. This was a fun conversation tonight for sure. So thank you again for coming on.
My pleasure. It's been very fun to chat with all of you guys.
Can I just add that I'm jealous of every person that gets to have like a pun in their Twitter handle that's related to Magic?
Should have chose a better name.
I know. Like,
Yep.
What is Rosa Thorns even from? Is that some anime shit? This is all your fault.
Do you want the answer to that, Jason?
I do.
It's anime.
Okay. Well, it's originally based on RuneScape. My RuneScape username was Wall of Thorns, which is a Yu-Gi-Oh card. And then I changed it to Rose of Thorns. So it is from Yu-Gi-Oh! I played Plants for a very long time in that card game. And then I played RuneScape, and that was my username on RuneScape. And then I made a Twitter account. That's the story.
I played bugs in Yu-Gi-Oh! And by that, I mean I threw my opponent's deck off of a cruise ship and got a win by default.
And that was patient zero for COVID, just coming into the U.S. They're like, listen, we need you to stay on the ship. It's not because you just destroyed somebody's property, but we need you to prevent the number of cases in the U.S. from rising for our political gain, so...
I'll stay on a cruise ship. I don't care. If you're on a cruise and they're like, you have to quarantine, you quarantine on a cruise ship. You get bonus cruise. Right? That's awesome. There's an open bar on that cruise ship. I'll quarantine on a cruise ship. Shit.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to Brainstorm Brewery. See you next week.